This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your hosts. I'm Grace.
And I'm Alexis.
And apologies if there's some slight delays in this episode. We don't know how technology works sometimes. And, that is what it is. It would be a Christmas miracle.
Life. Yeah.
Exactly. If we figured it out, and we won't. But speaking of Christmas, Christmas miracles, it is almost
Christmas miracles specifically.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm just going to pass it immediately off to Alexis, who will be telling us about a Christmas miracle, question mark? Or just Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
One of the two.
I will.
Okay, great.
I will also be telling you about that.
Okay, perfect. Take it away.
Today's episode is chock full of Christmas miracles.
Okay.
And get your tissues out, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we doing the Hey Arnold?
Who are listening, and Grace. We're doing it today. We're covering the best episode of Hey Arnold ever, the best Christmas special ever aired on Nickelodeon, probably one of the best animated Christmas specials ever, quite frankly, but also happens to be the saddest of all of the above, the saddest Hey Arnold episode, the saddest thing to ever be on Nickelodeon, the saddest Christmas episode of anything ever. Yes, I've been hyping it up for a long time now. Arnold's Christmas is what we're talking about today. So, yeah, I've spoken a lot about this episode in the past, pretty much like any time I've ever covered Hey Arnold.
Yes.
And quite frankly, if you track it, all of the Hey Arnold episodes I've done, it comes up because it's that great of an episode. And I gotta say, I love it as much today, the episode, as I did when I first watched it 20-something years ago.
Okay.
And I can also say with confidence, without even asking them, that this episode had a huge impact on me and on both of my brothers when we were growing up. So I mentioned it in the past, but every year we would bootleg record this episode on a VHS, pop the VHS into the machine and then record it as it's playing on TV.
Like a home video.
Yes, literally. Record it with our camcorder. All right, zoom in. No. But yeah, so we would always record this episode and a few of our other favorite Christmas specials of shows. And then the three of us would just stay up all night on Christmas Eve and even a couple of nights before then, just rewatching it over and over. And so, yeah, it's a great episode. It holds a very special place in my heart. And I think the older I get, the more and more I cry when I watch it.
Oh, God.
Or even just think about it. It's it is very, very touching and sad and just such a beautiful story. It tells a very deep and emotional story about the love that a father has for his daughter, and also just about the true meaning of Christmas, aka the miracles of Christmas. So, without further ado, and hopefully with tissues nearby, I know, just
prepare myself.
Get deep breaths out. Prepare yourself.
Okay.
Hopefully my retelling isn't super sad. Obviously, we're going to joke around a lot during it, but when you rewatch it, Grace,
it won't be cool.
I guarantee
it won't be okay.
you that, there will be some at least tearing up.
Great.
Maybe not full out crying, but yes, great. You're welcome, everyone, for making you do this and
Merry
go through
Christmas.
this. This is payback for me having to watch it 2 or 3 times to write this script and just sitting here in my apartment oh my God, what is the meaning of Christmas after all?
The true meaning of Christmas. Oh God.
Christmas. Okay. It's so beautiful.
Well, yeah, I actually don't really remember this episode at all. In your Thanksgiving Hey Arnold episode, you mentioned, you're the Korean War. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Which was not a mistake, I guess, but I misspoke when I said the Korean War. It actually wasn't the Korean War, but the Vietnam War.
Oh,
which
no.
We'll get to. I know, which is actually worse. Actually, I don't know if that's... Yeah, I think it is worse, actually.
I feel worse
they're all
in
bad,
the sense of I don't know, that it aired on TV for the first time and the nation's like unrest about it versus I feel like, I don't know, the US really did a better job of sweeping under the rug the Korean War. Like, I forget about the Korean War most of the time because the US is like, no, the what? No.
The Korean War, no, that was fine. But also because like we lost the Vietnam War. I mean, well, I'm not here to get political or get into the history of anything, but like we lost that war, so you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and it was during a time of a lot of unrest, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes,
so I feel like
it was the Cold War. It was like the beginning of the Cold War, or not the. It was one of the heights of the Cold War.
Yeah, and like the countrywide like shared trauma, I think was higher, maybe, not to obviously downplay the trauma of the Korean War.
Right. But we knew less of what we as a country and what our soldiers were getting into in the Vietnam War, I think, maybe than the Korean War. So, look, all wars are bad, essentially. War is always a racket. So,
which is a great time to talk about it at Christmas.
At Christmas time. Yay. Go Christmas Wars. So, the great Christmas Wars.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Oh, I'm so scared.
Okay. So yes.
The realest crime we've ever covered.
Truly. I mean, this is War. I mean, the big crime of this episode are war crimes. So
great.
So yes, but before we get to our discussion of the war, the episode starts out, it's a very snowy day in the city. Okay, and so look, I covered Hey Arnold in my Thanksgiving arc. If you're new to this podcast, go back to do we have a Hey Arnold playlist? I don't think so, but go back to our Thanksgiving playlist. Find it, or just go back a few episodes to Arnold's episode where I did that. I don't remember what it is called, but it was literally like 2 or 3 episodes ago. Three episodes ago. Go find it. Hey Arnold, show from Nickelodeon. Kid lives in a big city at a boarding house with his grandparents and goes to school with a bunch of eclectic characters. And he's just like king of the town, essentially. Smart, wise kid, lovable kid, whatever. So it's a snowy. I love the show, but that's all you're going to get from me for now.
Which is also funny because like so far the context we've given them is like Vietnam War and like child. So you're like this show takes place in the 90s, which is important to note. Like this child's not about to get drafted and spend his first like Christmas apart from his family in Vietnam.
In Vietnam, fighting in the war.
Right,
getting like destroyed by Agent Orange.
Like this show takes place like 30 years after the Vietnam War.
Yes, precisely. 20 to 30 years after.
Yeah.
So it's a snowy day in the city, and all of the kids in the neighborhood are enjoying the season. They're, getting ready to leave school, but having snowball fights outside and ice skating in the street. They're all sledding, and it is just truly a joyous, wintry afternoon. And so as the kids are leaving school, one of our main characters, Helga, her and her best friend, Phoebe, they're discussing their excitement for Christmas. And so Phoebe is talking to Helga, stressing the importance of giving and, spending time with your loved ones and doing nice things for others. While Helga, on the other hand, is super focused on getting, particularly getting the newest, most chic fashion item that every single girl in town has on their wish list, the Nancy Spumoni snow boots. So meanwhile, while Helga and Phoebe are talking about this, Gerald, Arnold's best friend, so we've got a few more main characters here, Gerald is telling Arnold that he got all of his family members for the holiday, or that he already got his family members all of their gifts for the holiday. And he's running through the list. So Arnold's like, okay, what'd you get your dad? And Gerald's like, a tie. And he says, so what'd you get your brother? A tie. And then he asks, what did you get your younger sister, Timberly? You guessed it, a tie.
You know what? Gerald is also wise.
He is very wise.
Not just Arnold.
No, he knows what he's doing.
He's breaking those gender stereotypes.
Exactly. He's doing it early. Hey, it's a big city. Things are different there. And this show is very forward thinking.
Exactly.
So Arnold, though, he reminds Gerald that the true meaning of Christmas is to get something special for the ones that you love and to get them something that has meaning and shows how much you truly care about and appreciate them. So he's like, you can't just get them like any old thing that like lacks meaning or has no symbolism. Like, what's your sister going to do with a tie? So classic Arnold. Yes, Gerald is wise, but Arnold always has to one up him with the wisdom. Yes, exactly. I don't know about more wise, but he's at least like more morally centered, maybe.
Yeah.
Know? So Gerald, he hears Arnold out and he decides to return at least his younger sister's tie for something more meaningful. And the two part ways for the moment. And so Arnold, he goes back home, aka to the boarding house, which is called Sunset Arms. And there, all of the residents and his grandparents are in the living room decorating. Grandpa's like handing out snacks and drinks and stuff, and they are getting ready to draw names for the annual Secret Santa exchange that they do with one another. And I will say, continuing the joke from my Thanksgiving episode.
What does Spooky think it is? I was going to ask you that. I was like, does she know it's Christmas?
Arnold's grandmother, she like wishes everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
I thought that was on the 4th of July.
She's all mixed up. But she's straight up dressed. And this is pretty bad, but it's very funny. She's straight up dressed like Disney's Pocahontas, like the tunic or whatever, or the I don't know,
like the dress,
like the skin dress,
dress,
deerskin dress, and like the gem around her neck and everything. God. Wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving and like playing the piano, but still playing Christmas songs. So,
Pookie.
We love her. Pookie is the moment for real. Yeah. She never let him know what your next move is literally like Pookie's whole MO. That's her life mission.
Yeah. Never let him know.
Yeah.
She does a good job.
She does a great job at that. So anyway, all of the residents, they start drawing names and Arnold, he draws and gets Mr. Nguyen, who is a middle-aged Vietnamese man who recently immigrated to the United States and mostly keeps to himself and seems particularly sad this time of year. And I will say too, so this episode came out in season 1, so it is like accurate to say, oh yeah, like we don't know anything about Mr. Nguyen. It's not like the show's been on for years and we're like, why are we just now learning about this guy?
Okay.
Like as far as the canon of this show goes, he probably did actually just move to America and into Sunset Arms, like right when the show started. So later that evening, Arnold, he meets back up with Gerald. They're outside. All the kids are like having a snowball fight again or something, playing in the street in the snow. And Arnold is like stressing out about what he should get Mr. Nguyen for Christmas, since he doesn't know really much about him since he just moved to the country. Mm-hmm. He doesn't understand why he seems so sad this time of year. And also because, like Arnold said before, the purpose of gift giving is to give someone something meaningful. So he's like, I don't know what's meaningful to this guy. And he's so sad. I have no clue what will make him happy.
You're about to find out why he's so sad. I didn't know that the story was going to be from the not an American soldier PTSD, but the attacked, colonized.
Exactly.
Which again, like you said, this show, progressive and forward thinking.
Deep. Yeah. And I guess actually now is as good a time as ever to say that the guy who voices Mr. Nguyen is actually a Vietnamese refugee.
Whoa.
So again, going back to what we said in our last episode of Hey Arnold, where like they were really good about casting people for this show and making sure that there was some like cultural understanding or background in the voice actors, for one. And two, so I guess a little behind the scenes of the episode, originally Nickelodeon was like, yeah, we can't put something about the Vietnam War on a children's program.
Only 30 years ago. And also, you're telling it from the perspective of those who
of a refugee. Yeah, so I don't know, but eventually, like, the script was so good and like the test episode was so good. Some
Everyone was
executive
crying.
played it for their kid, and the kid like loved it. So they're like, "Damn it, we got to put it on." But just don't. They don't say the Vietnam War by name in the episode.
Oh,
They just say a
interesting.
war. But you know that Mr. Nguyen is Vietnamese. That's a typically Vietnamese last name, and like the way that he explains it, which again I'll get to here in a moment.
Damn.
But
Okay.
yeah, so just some backgrounds that like we're not alone in being like, wow, this is heavy shit for
Yeah, and also like
Nickelodeon.
applaud to the writers for being
Yes,
like
absolute goats.
like okay, again, because I was automatically assuming that this was going to be like, oh, some US Army veteran is at the boarding house and is like,
Yeah,
here's what it was like, but like
which would
even
also
more
be dark,
powerful.
but yeah.
Right, also would be very dark and fucked up, but even more powerful to tell it from this perspective, which again,
Yes, precisely.
okay.
Get yourself ready.
I'm
Yes.
so anxious right now.
I'm already getting sad. Okay,
I know.
So yes, Arnold, he's talking with Gerald saying, I've got to get Mr. Nguyen something meaningful. And of course, Gerald's only suggestion is to get him a tie.
He's like, I haven't returned this one yet.
Like, if you want it, it may be a little small because it was for my little sister, but it's something. It's something. But yeah, kind of like we are. Arnold rolls his eyes and brushes that off. Like, yeah, no, I'm not going to get him a tie. So Gerald says, well, look, if you're so concerned with figuring out what's meaningful to him, then why don't you just go and talk with him and learn more about him to try to figure out what sort of gift would brighten up his spirit this holiday season. So yes, Gerald again coming in with the wisdom. Arnold's like, that's a good idea. I'll go just talk to him. So meanwhile, Helga, who, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, she's literally obsessed with Arnold. She bullies him, but to hide her love for him, she overhears this conversation from, she's probably like standing behind a tree nearby or something like as she tends to creepily.
Just peeking around it.
Oh, I thought you meant she was the snowman. Yeah.
Now I mean that, yes.
Yes, that's what you said. That's what I heard.
Phoebe, give me a carrot nose.
It's a little cold, but it's worth overhearing Arnold's conversations.
For his love.
Yes. Arnold, isn't this so cute that I'm doing this?
My love for Arnold keeps me warm even in the snow.
Oh, God. So yeah, she overhears this conversation and decides that like, okay, I've got to also get Arnold the perfect gift this Christmas, something meaningful, something memorable, something special, so that when I give it to him, I have no choice but to tell him like how much I love him, and then he'll love me back. This is her whole plan. She's like, I can do this. I'm finally going to do it. And so she starts looking all over town for the perfect gift for him, going into all sorts of stores. I think she wants to get him like a train set, but then sees that it's like more geared towards children. She wants to get him like a skateboard, but she runs into another classmate who says that Arnold already has the exact same one. And like, she finds all these new toys and games, but they're like, just gaudy and overrated and nothing meaningful. So she continues on her quest, but we'll go back to the boarding house where Arnold, he's gone back home and he decides to go and visit Mr. Nguyen to try to understand what he's into, get a vibe, all that. Like, what might this guy need or want for Christmas? And so he's trying to like cleverly lay hints or like get some hints out of small talk. Like,
so, Mr. Nguyen, do you like to skateboard? Look at this skateboard.
Look at this game. Do you like video games? Like, want to play video games or something? No, you need a console? Anything? No. No, but he is saying things like, it's so cold this time of year, right? You probably use a new sweater or something. And Mr. Nguyen like opens a closet, like, no, I have plenty of those. I don't need any sweaters. And so Arnold really just has trouble trying to like read this guy. The only thing that he can read is that Mr. Nguyen is very sad. And so Mr. Nguyen admits to Arnold that the holidays always make him a bit sad, primarily because he's alone. and has not seen his daughter, Mai, in almost 20 years.
Great.
So
okay.
After
cool.
cool.
Good setup.
Cool, Nickelodeon. Awesome. Sweet. Cool.
So that's a no on the skateboard.
Yeah. Arnold's like, so you don't like video games then?
So this N64 Donkey Kong game is a no?
Yeah. Is a no.
Banjo-Kazooie?
Cool.
I can keep it. Pokemon Trainer? No?
Oh, you're good. You're good. You promise?
Game Boy?
Cool. No. Perfect. So Arnold asks about her, like, do you want to talk about it or anything? If it's not too sad or whatever, even though we obviously know it will be.
Yep.
And Mr. Nguyen then tells the story about the last time he saw his daughter.
Oh, no.
During the fall of Saigon at the end of the Vietnam War.
Oh my God. Arnold's sitting there taking notes like, okay, likes to travel. Loves the city.
Cool.
So a new suitcase.
Good. Keep going. A suitcase, passport holder, anything. Yeah.
Should I invent Ancestry.com so we can find your daughter somehow?
Put a pin in that. And so it goes into flashback mode. And
oh my God. Nickelodeon.
God damn it, Nickelodeon. Okay. And yes, it shows a bit of a montage of him. And again, like I said, he never actually says Vietnam War. He never says the fall of Saigon. But with an understanding of history, it's like, okay, this is clearly what they're getting at. And so it shows a montage of Mr. Nguyen living in what we can assume is South Vietnam, aka the Republic of Vietnam, before and during the war. So we'll pause right there and let's just very, very briefly talk about the Vietnam War and the context behind this episode and how goated and also freaking ridiculous the writers of this show, ridiculous in the best possible way, the writers of this show are for going for it and for putting this background story in the episode and thus like in Mr. Nguyen's overall life story. Absolutely ridiculous that they did this again in the best possible way. And go ahead.
It does make me wonder of like, like the show coming out in the 90s. Like, I wonder if some of the writers like probably could have been of age to be like drafted.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That kind of stuff. This episode
came out in 96 and the fall of Saigon was 1975. So yeah, I mean, that was only 21 years after the war ended. Like, so if not, I mean, like their parents, their uncles, their, dads, neighbors, like they all easily knew someone.
Yeah, because I feel
totally, involved.
Because I feel like we're like kind of one step removed from it a little bit, just like due to our age type of thing. But like our parents, their parents could have been, their family members, all that kind of stuff. So it's just an interesting like additional aspect of, I'm sure some people on the show had connections to it too.
Absolutely. The guy who voices Mr. Nguyen himself, like, again, Vietnamese refugee. I don't know. So I don't remember his name and I don't know like how old he was, but I assume that he was a refugee because of this conflict. Some of my friends, their parents conflict. Some of my friends growing up, like their parents came here because when they were very young to escape the conflict. Like it's crazy again that they included this in this episode. Nickelodeon obviously had some pause about it, but eventually they were like, okay, fine. Like it's tasteful enough. This is important. And like, you've done a good job of like sneaking in this historical,
the U.S. Army won't sue us.
Plot. Exactly. Right. So, and with that, another disclaimer, remember listeners and viewers that this is a cartoon comedy crime podcast, not a war and or history podcast, which I feel like we say a lot because we somehow cover wars and conflicts a lot.
We do.
Yes, it does need emphasis. we're not experts on this stuff. And even though I have a lot of opinions and beliefs about it, I'm going to just keep those to the side and keep them out of this podcast and just do very, very, very broad brushstrokes of the history of what was going on. And yeah, just focusing more on the holiday spirit and Hey Arnold, this fantastic episode of Hey Arnold, rather than talking about my real thoughts and beliefs on
so with that, the fall of Saigon.
So with that, yes, also known, the Vietnam War, also known as the Second Indochina War, since the war spread to both Laos and Cambodia. Many thoughts, but again, stay the course, Alexis.
Focus. Cartoon.
And, yes. And in Vietnam, the war is actually commonly known as the Resistance War Against America / the Resistance War Against America to Save the Nation / the American War. So already from the jump, we see very disparate perspectives of how this war was waged and went down, depending on what country you're from.
Yep.
So the conflict, like I said, was between in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia from November 1st, 1955 until the fall of Saigon on April 30th, 1975. So a whole 20-year conflict. And while the war was essentially fought between North Vietnam and South Vietnam, it was really a Cold War era proxy war between communist countries like China and the Soviet Union, who were supporting North Vietnam, and anti-communist countries like the United States and Australia and South Korea and I think like Thailand and a few others who were supporting South Vietnam. And so the war ended with victory for North Vietnam and the Viet Cong, which essentially the Viet Cong was the communist political faction that existed in South Vietnam. So in the anti-communist half of the country, there was still this communist party, the Viet Cong. And so they in North Vietnam won. And unfortunately, an estimated 1.3 to 3.5 million people, civilian and military, died between, all the Indo-Chinese countries, so Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and like the United States military, the, Chinese military, all of the people who were fighting. So a huge civilian and military death toll. And so just before the fall of Saigon, AKA the final victory or like nail in the coffin for North Vietnam, or I guess for the anti-communist allies or whatever, and North Vietnam's victory, right before that, the US, like once we realize like, okay, this isn't going to end well for us, we need to like start hightailing it the F out of here and getting our people home and getting any of our allies back home and like saving any Vietnamese refugees who don't want to be under communist rule. Again, we're not going to get into the weeds of that, but whatever. The U.S. initiated a number of evacuation efforts for almost all American civilian and military personnel in Saigon, along with tens of thousands of South Vietnamese civilians who had been associated with the Republic of Vietnam. So that was the governing force in South Vietnam, aka the U.S.'s allies. One such effort was called Operation Baby Lift, where more than 3,000 infants and children from South Vietnam were airlifted by helicopters and planes and taken to other Western countries such as the United States and France and Canada and West Germany. Again, this was before the fall of the Berlin Wall, so Germany was still divided, and Australia. And there are a lot of stories and accounts of parents actually begging military personnel to take their children onto the planes and helicopters before the city fell. And many of these children, if not most or even like almost all of them, were adopted out to families in the various countries that they went to.
Yeah.
So in the fictional world of Hey Arnold, that's all we're going to talk about for the Vietnam War.
Oh my God.
One, I don't want to get too into it because that's sad enough. And again, it's a crazy conflict and story and history. But yeah, all of that is ridiculously relevant to this plot. So thanks, writers, for setting that as the background.
Yeah, I didn't know that operation existed. It does make a lot of sense in context of, hearing a lot about, adoptees in kind of the West, that kind of stuff. But I wonder where this plot is going. Or the last time he saw his daughter.
Yes. And so, precisely, in the fictional world of Hey Arnold, one of those parents who begged military personnel to take their child was Mr. Wynn. And the infant, we do. We see this all in the flashback. We see him, I guess I'll just like recap the flashback very briefly. It starts with him, they're living in South Vietnam, kind of in this rural area. And his little daughter, Mai, is just like walking around, learning how to walk. And all the villagers are like clapping and like playing with her and love her. And Mr. Wynn is clearly very close to her and a very good protective father. And then he's like, but then conflict overtook our country and things got dangerous. And you see like the clouds turn dark and you just see soldiers start like marching in the background. And then you see like war literally going on in the background and a whole like crowd of people trying to escape, and they're surrounding this military helicopter.
Oh my God.
And at the end, it shows this like the guy operating the helicopter is like, we can only take kids. So Mr. Wynn like lifts Mai up over his head in the crowd, and the military guy like points like, bring her on. And he just like walks her up to the military guy, and she takes him or he takes her, and then like shuts the door and then flies off. And like you just see Mr. Wynn start crying. Yeah, while this crowd is going. I'm like trying not to cry.
Why did I ask for the details on that scene?
Why
so stupid of me.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
It's so sad. Yeah. And so, yes. When Mr. Wynn saw that there was no room for anyone but infants on this evacuation helicopter, he made the terribly difficult decision of giving his infant daughter, Mai, to the military to protect her from the dangers and the volatile situation that the war had brought upon his home country. And so the military personnel or the helicopter operator or whatever told Mr. Wynn, though, or someone in the military told Mr. Wynn that they were going to take his daughter to a city in the United States called Hillwood, which apparently is the name of Arnold's city in the show, by the way. Yeah.
I thought it was an unnamed unknown.
So did I. But yeah, according to like one of the wiki pages, they say Hillwood specifically somewhere in this episode. So it's like, cool, now we know.
Arnold has his list, and he had written toy helicopter ? And he's slowly crossing it out.
Crosses that out.
He's like
G.I. Joe doll.
Cross
that off.
Yeah, just like his own Christmas list that he was asking Mr. Wynn if he wanted any of that. And now he's slowly crossing.
He's like, okay, this is making it harder for me, Mr. Wynn.
This is not narrowing it down.
Yes. So after many years, I'm pretty sure Mr. Wynn says after 20 years of trying to leave Vietnam and come to America, he finally made his way to Hillwood so that he could reunite with his daughter. But unfortunately, he's not yet had any luck. So Mr. Wynn then tells Arnold that even though he hasn't found her yet, he'll never stop searching, he'll never stop trying, and that he would do and give anything to see her again and to see her healthy and happy. And at this moment, Arnold realizes, goddamn, why did I ask him?
He's like, can I switch with someone else? Hey, Pookie, who'd you get?
Granddad, you can probably find Mr. Wynn's daughter, right? I'm just a fourth grader. I can't do all this.
I just barely learned what this war was. I'm in fourth grade.
Yeah. I just learned from Mr. Wynn that there was a war.
Right, exactly.
Yes. So at this moment, though, no, Arnold, being the moral compass of the show, the wise fourth grader, the big-hearted, kind-hearted little kid that he is, he realizes that the perfect gift for Mr. Wynn, the only thing that he can get him this Christmas, is to reunite him with his long-lost daughter, to find her and bring them back together. So a little bit later, Arnold, he meets back up with Gerald and he talks his plan over with him, who is immediately like, boy, that is crazy. no way. That is impossible. It is the day before Christmas. Then there are quite literally millions of people living in this city.
Again, no ancestry.com
yes,
to do
at
a
the
quick
time.
reference on. So
DNA
much
testing
easier
wasn't even
now.
as advanced. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this was almost 30 years ago, 27 years ago. This a whole different day and age.
Yeah.
So Gerald then tells Arnold that it would literally take a miracle to find May or Mai. I think
Perhaps
it's Mai. I got to get that right. Perhaps a Christmas
miracle.
Perhaps.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, indeed. And Arnold responds, what better time for a miracle than Christmas?
He's right.
Isn't that what Christmas is really about? And Gerald's like, yeah, I mean, literally what you just said, like, you're right. So the two of them, they go on a quest to locate Mai and reunite her with her father. And so they're walking through town to the place where Arnold's research suggests will help them in their mission.
Okay, yeah. I was like, what is the plan? Are they door knocking? Wait.
No. Honestly, even worse, they go to a federal government office.
The day before Christmas? That shit's not open.
The day before Christmas. I know. It's not even open the week before Christmas, let's be real. So, alas, the naive boy goes to what is called the Federal Office of Information, the FOI, classic alphabet boys.
Amazing.
But also, hilariously, there is, and apparently this is like a big joke on the internet too, but there's an inscription over the door of this building that is in Latin and says, Cave quivi sumus, which literally translates to beware whoever we are. Like if you Google that phrase, it'll bring up a bunch of Hey Arnold related shit.
Damn.
It's hilarious.
That is these freaking writers.
Amazing. But apparently, so Cave quivi estis rather than sumus, Cave quivi estis translates to beware whoever you are. So it's possible that this was a Latin translation error, but I actually think it works kind of better with sumus because they're like, we don't know which office this is supposed to be, but like be afraid of us no matter what.
And also like, again, we won't rabbit hole, but like tying this episode into the US's role in Vietnam, et cetera, et cetera.
Beware.
Pretty good Latin phrase. Pretty good commentary.
Yes, it is. It's like, I think we can see where these writers stand.
Yeah, where their political
generally on the political spectrum, generally speaking.
For sure.
So, anyways, Arnold and Gerald, they go into this building and they start to look around for someone who may be able to point them in the right direction of finding this missing person, this lost person. But it would appear, as you kind of said already, Grace, that all the workers are already gone for the day, whether it be because they're already at home or because they're just already getting toasted at the holiday party in the break room.
Good for them.
Good for them indeed, which they deserve it, kind of. They kind of work hard. Which, by the way, Arnold and Gerald, like they walk by this holiday party that's going on and they peek in and you just see like a bunch of drunk adults with like trash cans on their heads and like being boisterous and like cheersing and like toasting to the holiday. It's pretty hilarious, actually. Again, the writers love them.
Nailed it.
So after roaming the hallways a little bit more, the boys come across the office of a man named Mr. Bailey, who is a department supervisor in the building. And he is still hard at work. Like his door's cracked open and the lights are on while every other light down the hallway is off. And he's in there pushing paper, crunching numbers. He's just got like a bunch of paper feeding out of the printer. And he's just like typing away on his computer while, of course, all of his employees party it up down the hallway. Mm-hmm. And so the boys, they gently kind of like go into his office and they ask for some help. To which he initially is like, who are you? Who let you
How'd
in
you
here?
Get in here?
You're not allowed to be in here.
Exactly.
You should be at home.
This whole time. I'm like, this is a federal building?
This was pre 9/11.
Touche. Good point. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember when the Oklahoma bombing was too. Was that in the early 90s? I don't remember. But yeah,
Yeah,
security
90s,
was a whole different thing back then.
Yes.
It was very lax. Like, yeah. So yeah, he's telling them, like, you guys got to go home, stop by the office party on your way out and get some eggnog. Like, bro, they're fourth graders. Hold up.
Don't send kids into that.
No. But Arnold, he tries to explain the situation to Mr. Bailey, telling them who they're looking for and why. But Mr. Bailey, he's not having it. And as a former federal government employee, I can tell you, I get it, right? He's overworked. And yeah, it's Christmas Eve. The last thing he wants is another difficult and tedious assignment landing on his desk after 3 p.m. Again,
an assignment
on
from
Christmas Eve from fourth graders. Yeah. Who, again, I don't even think they've introduced themselves. So like, he doesn't know their names. He doesn't know who the frick they are. Like, how did you get in here?
Who are you? Why?
Also, there's classified sensitive information on this
everywhere.
Desk. Please get out, boys. Yeah. So he tells the boys how impossible it would be to locate this missing person on Christmas Eve. And then he again just like shoos them out of his office. But before Arnold and Gerald get a chance to leave, they hear Mr. Bailey take a phone call from his wife. And he tells her that, he hasn't done the shopping yet because he's been so busy working. He's buried in work. And his wife, we can assume, yells at him over the phone. And he just like calmly promises her that like, don't worry, I'll get it done. I'll get the gifts somehow. And he's like, all right, I love you too, honey. I'll see you at home soon. And Arnold, he hears this and his ears perk up. He's like, oh shit, I have an idea.
Uh-oh.
So as soon
quid pro quo happening.
Quid pro quo going on. So as soon as Mr. Bailey hangs up the phone, Arnold runs back up to him and tells him that if he and Gerald can do all of Mr. Bailey's Christmas shopping for him, i.e., like, you give us your list and the money, then in return, Mr. Bailey can stay at work for a bit longer and help find my.
Imagine accepting this deal. You are a grown-ass adult and two random children with no parental supervision come in and say, look, we have an impossible task because it's the 90s. Yes. Give us your money and we promise we'll come back with your stuff. Like,
yes,
I would be like, where are your parents?
Where are your parents?
And security. You are not taking my credit card.
No. What is your name? Okay. Yeah. Who are you kids?
Yeah. Imagine.
Go on. Mr. Bailey is on your page, right? At first, he is the correct option, quite frankly, as an adult. Like, I know it's a cute children's show and you're watching it like, oh, come on, Mr. Bailey, be nice. But like, no, as a full grown adult, Mr. Bailey has the correct initial response. He's like, you expect me to give you like $300 cash, which by the way, holy hell, inflation is a bitch. $300 cash to buy a bunch of gifts. That's all like your two gifts for my family. Oh, it's like $300. And they get a lot of shit. This is a long list. Anyways, so he's like, you want me to give you $300 cash and then just like let you go and, have my list and all that? Mm-hmm. But Arnold assures him, he's like, dude, he didn't say dude. He's like, sir, he puts on his polite, but dude, you can trust me.
This is why we wouldn't have gotten the money.
I know, because we would have said, dude. Yeah.
Dude, come on.
Dude, come on, man. Just like, come on, man. So, but no, Arnold's like, you can trust me, sir. I promise. I have nothing to lose. And, you have no other way to get your gifts in time. And I would literally do anything to reunite Mr. Wynn with his daughter. And Gerald kind of like vouches for him. I mean, not that that really helps. Like, again,
who the fuck are you?
Guys, yeah. What are your credentials?
Yeah. What kind of reference are you here?
Right. But really, I mean, we know Arnold. He's a good kid. He's not going to like steal this guy's money. So stuck between a rock and a hard place, or in his case, like a computer and a printer, Mr. Bailey accepts the offer and tells the boys that they have to get every single item on that list and be back before 6 p.m. or else the deal is off. Arnold shakes on it and he and Gerald run off to complete Mr. Bailey's shopping for him. So now cue a beautiful holiday montage. Exactly. But it's not playing like Christmas music. It's playing like almost like rushed panic music. Like they're running all over town, but they're like smiling, having a good time. They're going from store to store, mall to mall, getting every item on this list, and even having some of them wrapped by the department store. Like they're going all out. They're doing a good job. You know, after several stops, they sit down, Gerald and Arnold, on a bench at the mall, and they kind of like take a break and, you know, reevaluate the list. Like, okay, how are we doing? How much time do we have? And it actually turns out that they've gotten all but one item checked off the list at this point.
The last item is my long lost daughter from Vietnam. It's a different one.
They wrote it in there. Yeah.
Now you find it.
Yes. See, haha, tables have turned.
You find her. Yeah.
But no, unfortunately, the last item on the list is something that is equally as difficult, if not more difficult, to find this late in the holiday shopping season. A pair of official Nancy Spumoni snow boots.
Okay.
Feeling on top of the world at how far they've come, and obviously not having any awareness about like what the other girls in their class wanted for Christmas, and like not realizing how popular these boots are and how like trendy and in they are. Arnold and Gerald are like, oh, hell yeah. Like we've got this in the bag. Boots. We just need to go grab this pair of boots real quick. And then we are done. Like we are finally going to like reunite Mr. Wynn with his daughter. This is going to be the best Christmas ever. And so as they're walking through the mall to leave and find the boots, they actually run into Helga, who, as I mentioned before, is on her separate quest to find the perfect gift for Arnold. And they have a brief conversation with her. Like she's, you know, showing them this video game. Like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting this video game for a friend of mine. Like, what do you think? Like secretly trying to like vet Arnold. Like, does he like it? Does he like it? But Gerald's like, it seems like something that's like expensive and meaningless and not really personal to whoever's getting it, but like, whatever.
Damn.
And then jam. And so Arnold's like, yeah, anyway, bye, Helga. Like, we're in a rush. Gotta go.
Also, that's a lot to say, Gerald, for who only got ties for his family.
I know. Hey, you know, he learned from Arnold. He's like, I'm in the Christmas spirit now. We're doing all this shit for other people. Yep. I'm a changed man.
I'm a changed fourth grader.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Great.
So after they leave, after the boys leave, Helga's like pretty pissed off. And so she like throws the game to the side, like, God damn it. Okay, so I can't get him that either. But she looks down and notices that Arnold's shopping list, aka Mr. Bailey's shopping list, fell out of his pocket. And she picks it up and takes a look at it, noticing that the only thing on the list that hasn't been crossed off are the Nancy Spumoni snow boots. And so she's like, that's interesting. And being the little creeper she is, she like low-key follows them around the city for the rest of the day after this, but we'll get more on that in a moment.
For the rest of the day.
So the boys, meanwhile, head over to a department store and they ask for a pair of these boots. But they are literally laughed out of the store and told that they can put their names on a wait list to get the boots delivered sometime in like, I don't know, July.
Oh, damn.
June, July, you know, typically when one needs snow boots.
Yeah.
And so the boys, they then run to another store. They're like, okay, well, like they've got to be somewhere else. So we'll just go across the hall. And they run to another store. And then, unfortunately, they have to go to another store and many, many others. And at each and every single one of these stores, they receive the exact same reaction. They're laughed out of there. The retailers are like, are you kidding me? Like, you had to wait in line like 20 hours to get these like 2 weeks ago. Stupid boys.
Black Friday? They were gone.
Have you heard of it?
Someone stabbed someone during Black Friday this year for him.
Yeah. Arnold was busy cleaning up like firework ornaments from Pookie, setting them off the roof on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he missed the rush.
So, yes, the boys unfortunately learn after like an hour of running from store to store that there are quite simply no more Nancy Spumoni snow boots left in the city. And as much as they want to keep searching for these boots, like, well, maybe one other store does have them somewhere. Maybe we can go across town. They remember that they've got to get all this stuff back to Mr. Bailey by 6 p.m. when the office closes and when he's going to leave. And they look at the clock and it's like 5 till 6 now, 10 till 6. So they're like, well, shit, even if we could go across the city, we have to get this stuff back to him. Like, maybe he'll understand. And, you know, if we got him 98% of everything on the list, maybe he'll still help us out if we just tell him that there are literally no more snow boots left in the city. Mm-hmm. So they returned to Mr. Bailey's office and they read this man wrong because he is livid. He's like, no, I'm not going to like live up to the deal. I don't care. Like, it's off. The deal's off without those snow boots. And the boys try to tell him that they looked in like 100 different stores, but the snow boots are just completely sold out. And Mr. Bailey, he's not having it. Like, his wife told him that those snow boots are the most important gift on the list for his daughter. And
sir, then why did you wait?
Exactly. Like, I'm sensing some projection here. I am sensing you taking out your failures as an individual on these poor little 4th grade boys. Yes, as a parent, as a human being in general. And also I'm sensing that he never really wanted to live up to the deal because like, he's like, oh, good, this is just a good excuse not to do it. Like, you didn't get these one things on the list. Like, well, that's on you, sir, for being also a bad parent. Yes.
If I was Arnold and Gerald right now, this is when I would turn and run with the $300 worth of presents that now I bought. And all of the CCTV footage showed me buying. So he couldn't say
precisely. Exactly. Like, honestly, in this case, maybe he should have given them their credit card or something, because then you could be like, no, these kids stole from me. But no,
cash.
Gave them cash. Idiot. Like, can't trace that as easily. Yeah. So, and Mr. Bailey, he didn't look like the healthiest guy. He clearly sits at his desk all day. So like, these kids could easily outrun him.
Run out. Drop a couple presents you don't care about, so he trips over them.
Right. And to like lighten the load. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, the boys, they leave his office totally just crestfallen, upset that after all the work they put in, shopping for Mr. Bailey all afternoon was all for nothing. And Arnold, he just like falls into this big depression saying like, I failed. Like, I couldn't get the job done. I can't believe I wasted all this time. And not only, you know, am I not able to reunite Mr. Wynn with his daughter, but I also spent all this time shopping for Mr. Bailey that I didn't have time to actually get him a backup gift. So now there's like nothing that I can give him. And he's having like a true crisis. Like, he is so sad. Gerald is trying to really like brighten him up. Like, dude, you did everything you could. Like, you looked high and low for those boots. You tried your best to make Mr. Wynn happy. You tried harder than anyone else I've ever known to try to bring the true meaning of Christmas into someone else's life. Like, don't be so down on yourself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it reminds him too, like, that is really what the meaning of Christmas is about. Like, it's what you do, not what you get. So Helga, as I mentioned before, being the creeper that she is, she like followed the boys to this office and she's like hiding behind a tree on the sidewalk when they leave.
Good.
Typical Helga. But she overhears this whole conversation with Arnold and Gerald. And she's able to like pick up on the bigger clues coming out of it. Like, okay, Arnold couldn't find these snow boots for some guy named Mr. Bailey who works at some federal office of information. And because of that, he's now not able to get Mr. Wynn a gift for Christmas, which happens to be reuniting with his long lost daughter. Like, she's able to pick all this up.
Put it together.
You see her like holding like a microphone or something up to them and like listening in, like, huh? Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Got it.
Yeah. But no, she's a smart kid. She's able to piece these things together. And so overhearing all of this, Helga starts to put everything into place and then feels a bit of sadness for Arnold, or a bit of sadness for him and his failure, essentially, or what he perceives as a failure. And so she goes back home and she finds her parents, Bob and Miriam, drunkenly singing Christmas carols while her older sister, aka their oldest daughter, Olga, plays the piano, and they're just all merry and having a good time. It seems
like a happy drunk, so okay.
It does. It is. This is good. Yeah, this is like the one time that her family actually seems to like kind of care about her and be like in good spirits.
They learn
because they're drunk and Olga's home. Exactly. They're like, okay, we won't do that again. Yes, we won't go through all that again. And so, seeing that her daughter is obviously sad and down in the dumps because, Helga's just like all moody and gloomy sitting on the sofa. And then also because Miriam is like at least a little tipsy at this point from eggnog, she gives Helga one of her gifts and lets her open it early to cheer her up. Helga, she's very excited. And so she like rips the gift open and is shocked and thrilled to see that her mom, she sobered up, or maybe she didn't. She probably took a flask with her, but she waited 18 plus hours in line to get her none other than a pair of Nancy Spumoni snow boots.
You can only do that drunk.
Oh, I know exactly.
This is why she was able to wait.
DP, exactly. DP had a flask with her, two flasks, honestly.
That's why she was first in line, baby.
And a diaper. She
knew.
She was just like fueled on alcohol. That's it.
That's how you do it.
So Helga, she is like over the moon, excited, so happy to get these boots. And she immediately puts them on. She like thanks her mom profusely, hugs her, saying that she wanted these boots more than anything in the world. It's the only thing that she wanted this Christmas. And so she's like, I got to try them on. I got to like break them in a little bit. And so after putting them on, she like runs outside and she's like dancing in the snow, going all crazy and wild, like loving life that she's got these awesome new boots. And then as she's dancing, Arnold / Mr. Bailey's list falls out of her pocket and she steps on it. And she is then smacked in the face with a moment of clarity or a verifiable moral dilemma.
This is the real Christmas miracle.
It is.
It's Helga now.
And so she stops dancing and she then starts pacing and she's thinking out loud, like, okay, on the one hand, I've got what I wanted for Christmas and I'm happy. And what's more important than that, right? But on the other hand, I know that these boots are the only thing that Arnold wants for Christmas. So I could either give them to Arnold, thus depriving myself of this amazing gift I've been wanting for months now, or I could keep them and just like act like nothing ever happened. Like, Arnold didn't see me following them. Arnold doesn't know that I have this list and know about this stuff.
He'll never know.
But she will know inside that Arnold will be sad and depressed on Christmas. So she literally drops to her knees in the snow and starts crying, wondering what the right thing to do is. And she decides to give the shoes to Mr. Bailey in exchange for him contacting Mai and telling her the location of her father. So she rushes to his office and catches him just as he's leaving.
And he's like, who the fuck are you?
I know. He's like, why are all these fourth graders attacking me today? What the hell is going on? But she like puts the boots in his face, like, here, take these. Come on. We got a job to do. Go turn around and let's go back inside. And he's like, look, kid, it's too late. I need to get home. Like, it's dark out. It's like well past 6 at this point, probably. No one else is at this office. All the lights are off. But Helga stops him. And she's like, look, Christmas isn't about flashy presents and expensive gifts. It's about showing people that you care. And if you don't turn around and locate that missing girl, that football-headed kid's entire worldview and sense of reality will be like shaken to the core. Essentially, is what she says. Yeah, she goes in and then she looks at him like, could you be so cold to not do it for him at least? Cold crimes. Cold crimes.
Here it is, baby.
It's going to be cold. And so he like continues to brush past her like, look, I understand. He's a nice guy and you're trying to be a good friend, but it's Christmas Eve. I gotta go. And he like waves down a cab and a cab pulls up right in front of him. But right before he gets into the cab, Helga begs him one more time, saying that, like, look, either you and me work together all night to try and find a certain lost daughter, or you leave now and Arnold will never believe in miracles again.
Damn.
And so at this, Mr. Bailey, his eyes twinkle a bit and he like turns around from Helga so as to not face her and like stands on the sidewalk letting the cab go by.
Yeah,
and
the
he's
cab
probably like
driver's
trying to fight back tears just as I am. Yeah. He's like, I can't look at this little girl. I start crying. God damn it. Yeah, the driver's like, excuse me, sir, I have money to make. Bye. If you're not gonna get in.
The cab driver's like, nope.
No, not dealing with it. And so the next morning, Christmas morning, Arnold and the Sunset Arms residents are getting started on their Secret Santa gift exchange. And Arnold, he's still really, really down in the dumps. Like he's super sad. In fact, the night before you see him, it shows like a clip of him just laying in bed, like unable to fall asleep, just staring at the stars through his like sky roof, his roof or whatever. You know, he's got the glass roof in his bedroom, and he's like having not like visions, but just thinking about essentially the Vietnam War and like when, you know, trying to put like images to what Mr. Nguyen was explaining the volatile situation as, like when he gave up his daughter and all this stuff and just the chaos, and he just can't fall asleep. Like he's clearly very shaken and disturbed by all of this. And so Gerald, who is clearly a very good friend, he stops by on Christmas Day. I guess he's finished opening gifts with his family. He stops by to check on Arnold after the state of depression that he fell into last night. And he's like, you know, trying to comfort him and be like, dude, you know, remember, you did your best. You did all you could, Arnold. You're not a bad kid. You're the best of all of us. And so after all of the residents open their gifts, they realize that there is no gift for Mr. Nguyen. Because like I said, Arnold spent all of his time trying to find Mai and didn't have time to actually find a gift, like a backup gift in case that kind of fell through. So when Mr. Nguyen realizes that he doesn't have a gift, Arnold like goes up to him and apologizes, like, Mr. Nguyen, I'm so sorry. Like I tried so hard to get you something, but, and then he's cut off by the doorbell ringing.
Okay, great.
And Mr. Nguyen, he turns around and stands back by the fireplace, just kind of staring into the fire as it's burning. And Grandpa Phil goes to answer the door while Gerald continues to console Arnold. And only moments later, Grandpa Phil returns to the living room with a guest that whispers her name across the room, shocking Mr. Nguyen and forcing him to turn around.
Oh no, in the best way.
His utter surprise, yes. And to his utter surprise, he is then standing face to face with his long lost daughter, Mai. And he runs and hugs her and holds her. And they both immediately start crying, as do all of the other residents and me when I watch
the viewers.
And the viewers. And it's just like, I can't believe it's you. Oh my God, you're actually here. And he immediately introduces her to all of the residents and they just start catching up. They're like speaking in Vietnamese. They're just like laughing and hugging each other. And Arnold is just standing behind him, just shocked, like, what? I can't believe Mr. Bailey actually did it. Like, I can't believe he actually decided to find her. And then he looks at Gerald like, how did this happen? How could this happen? And Gerald, he just looks at Arnold and says, dude, don't try to make sense out of it. It's a Christmas miracle. Ultimately, Arnold, you just must have a Christmas angel looking out for you.
Someone's definitely looking at him.
Someone at him. Yes, actually, because then we pan out of Sunset Arms and we see Helga Pataki on the sidewalk, looking through the window, looking at this beautiful reunion and seeing Arnold happy. And she whispers to herself, and she whispers to herself, Merry Christmas, Arnold. And that is the end of the episode.
Oh my God.
The end. Yeah.
Wow. Incredible retelling.
Thank you. I'm surprised I made it through without tears. If I talk it through, it's easy. If I talk about it, it's easy. Although, yeah, now I am kind of welling up. But it's easy talking about it. But watching it and typing it out, oh, man. Man, if this was like handwritten on paper, I wouldn't be able to read it because there'd just be like water spots everywhere.
Yeah, I'm like, got to really prep myself for actually watching this. I'm a little nervous, but excited.
When I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, I used to just cry at the end when they're reunited. And then when I was watching it for this, I was like, oh wow, I'm crying throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, when you did like the flashback, I definitely welled up. I was like, oh God.
As soon as the flashback starts from like there on, and that's like 5 minutes into the episode. So
oh my God.
It's like a 22-minute episode. So like for 15 minutes, you're just like crying straight through, like,
this is a Christmas miracle.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyways, beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I absolutely love this episode. Like I said, in my opinion, it's the best episode of Hey Arnold. And apparently a lot of other people on the internet agree. It's like constantly rated as like one of the best episodes, if not the best. One of the best things to ever air on Nickelodeon. One of the best Christmas episodes of any show ever. And I agree, because those are some topics and subjects and themes and just like writing in general that you do not typically see in children's shows. So for them to have something that is clearly about like what makes Christmas Christmas, while also like sneaking in that historical context and like teaching little millennial children about the Vietnam War, like
why we are the way we
are. Amazing, truly. And something that I never really thought about until I was writing this, after all the years of seeing this episode, again, clearly targeted for like fourth graders or like, you know, young kids, third graders, little kids. It has nothing to do with Santa Claus. Like, it's an episode where like the writers are telling you like, no, like you get gifts for each other. Like, it's not about being good so that Santa gets you a gift or anything. It's not like, it's not perpetuating the story of, oh yeah, Santa Claus is real or anything. It's so grown up. Like, it's such a grown-up concept and story where he has nothing to do with it. Like, you hardly even see people putting up Christmas trees or whatever. It really is just about the real meaning of Christmas is like doing meaningful things for other people and showing them how much you really care. So
beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, hey, I'm just the messenger. The writers of Hey Arnold, they did all the legwork. And if anyone listening or watching has never watched this episode, I guarantee you, even like no matter what age you are, I think it's like fully appropriate to watch and it'll resonate with you. Yeah, as a very, very solid Christmas special. So that's all I've got on that before I start tearing up more and thinking more about the meaning behind this episode.
I'm so glad you did this episode. You definitely talked it up. It did not disappoint. Again, I'm excited and nervous to watch the episode. I got to be in the right headspace to go watch it. I got to be prepared, have my schedule cleared for the rest of the afternoon, probably.
Have some tissues nearby, maybe some chocolate or something.
Yes, some comfort food nearby for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
great work.
It's like, it starts with like sad tears because the story of their separation is so sad, obviously, but then it ends with like happy tears. Yeah. So for what it's worth. Yeah. Anyways, so I think that you said this episode's coming out on the 23rd, right? So I think that's
just
a perfect place. Exactly. Or a perfect way for all y'all to like get ready for the holidays. Remember what the next few days are truly about in the wise words of Arnold from Hey Arnold. So,
amazing.
Thank you. But we do have one more cold crime episode that we're going to do because there is one more Saturday in the month of December.
Yep.
And so that'll be Grace's episode next week, which I cannot wait for. But until then, who should they tell about this podcast?
Well, I think with Christmas right around the corner, whether you celebrate it or not, just tell whoever you are spending December 25th with. If that's you're going out to a restaurant because you don't celebrate Christmas but want to treat yourself something nice, tell your waiter or waitress. If you're with your family or chosen family, tell them. If you're like, I don't want to freaking talk to anyone that day, tell yourself. Just tell whoever you're around on Christmas Day itself.
Nice.
Who else?
And let's see. So this is kind of piggybacking off of that and maybe slightly cheating saying it. But when you're out doing whatever you're doing on Christmas Day, if you see someone who's all by themselves, go tell them. Chat it up with them. Wish them, happy holidays, whatever it is. See if they're okay. Ask them if they need help with anything. And then tell them to watch / listen to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
The truest gift
comment,
of all.
Subscribe. Us. Exactly. Us in your ear every Saturday for an hour plus. Yes.
Yes. Beautiful.
That person will never feel alone ever again because they'll then have us.
And you're welcome for that.
You're welcome. Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Great.
So that's it. Until next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.